independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
And I'll just ask you a question of all of you. Does anyone in this audience think that the United States government is doing well for you and your family or for the country and the American people? Raise your hand if you think the government is doing well for you.
Not a single hand.
So no one in this audience thinks the government is doing well. That is why I'm here. And I got good news for you. We can fix it. But we can't fix it under a broken system where the far left and the far right are more engaged every single day in more interested in self-preservation, self-interest, and not representing you.
Howard Schultz last night got a town hall. I watched it. I was impressed at times. There's a lot of stuff I don't agree with him on. And here's the thing, and I think people need to understand this, is when people talk about people that are, quote-unquote, centrist or independents, the first thought is you don't make up your mind, right? No, I said better than that, right? Tougher than picking a side is you take everything inch by inch, meaning this issue right here, I look at that issue not as right or left, but on its own. And then I'll make a decision on which way that you will see it. It's a right or left kind of thing. For him, he's got to convince people that this is something that can be done, that an independent can come in and actually do something that can make some noise and to destroy and topple somewhat of what we've got in this duopoly, this monopoly, really, of it's one party. You can call them right or left, but for all intents and purposes, it's just one giant party. And the only people not invited to the party is the American citizens, the taxpayers. And that's the frustrating thing. I think he did some stuff last night that was good. I think he did some stuff last night that wasn't good. But one of the things, that, as far as the way that I think he could have done better, I think he could explain things a little bit more. I think he had good command of everything. I do. I like the way he went about things. And we're going to talk about this throughout the day because I want to get, people say socialism used to be the boogeyman, and that word isn't a centrist, independent, shouldn't be a scary thing. But it is for a lot of people. And for a lot of people, too, it's also, you can't make up your mind. Because that's the way I think people talk when they're trying to be like, no, wrong. I make up my mind easily. But I don't do it on a blanket of things saying I'm only this way or I'm only that way. And you've got to convince the exhausted majority of people, right? The alt-middle, the centrist, the disgruntled Republican and disillusioned left. You've got to convince them that you can do this in a real way.
What is lacking right now in the country when we can't get an immigration bill, when we've got a level of debt that we have, when we've got a failing education system, a healthcare system that is a crisis, and millions of Americans that no longer have access to the prospects of the American dream? All of this is about one thing, and that is no one has stood up and said, I am going to be accountable for the results. If I run for president, I raise my hand and I'm saying, I am accountable to solve these problems.
That sounds great. And people at times stand up and say, it's my fault, I'm accountable for this. But in the end, most of these people are just a cog in a wheel, right? You've got lobbyists, you've got super PACs, you've got crazy fringe minorities on both sides that scream and yell at each other as far as the party goes, the fringes of the party. I'm not talking about minorities, I'm talking about the minority, but they seem to be the loudest part of the party. You've got all kinds of social pressures. And in the end, for the people that are part of the body that goes out there and legislates, you are just a vote. So for somebody who wants to be president to stand up and say it's all my fault, yeah, you could, I could yell at Trump and say, you could look at him and say, hey, you didn't fix health care. Trump's not going to fix health care. He can make some suggestions. In the end, it's got to be the law. He's not doing that. You got way too many chefs, not enough sous chefs, not enough servers, not enough bartenders, right? Not enough bus boys and bus girls. I don't want to leave anybody out there, right? Bus people, if you will. Not enough hostesses. There's a lot. He's interesting. But he kind of said last night, well, are you going to run? He hinted he wants to go nationwide. I think he's already put together a plan. Why he didn't go more in depth last night, explain to somebody, you don't give everybody all of what you're going to do heading forward and lay it out online now. And when it came to the stock thing, and that was a big thing, are you going to divest yourself from Starbucks and stuff like this? Understand something. It's a public company. Saying I'm going to dump my 33 million shares could send the share price tumbling, which A, doesn't help him, and B, hurts other shareholders. And I don't think he wants to get rid of it. Put it in a blind trust. I got no problem with that. I don't think we should discourage successful people from wanting to be more involved in the political side of things by saying, don't get into this or you're going to have to get rid of everything, and we're going to damn you along the way. It'll be very interesting. And we're going to talk about a lot of what he had to say last night because I do find him to be very interesting. But is he going to go all in? That's something I asked again and again last night. Or do I think he's going to go all in? Because if somebody's going to really do this, you can't Ralph Nader it, you can't Ross Perot in, where you dip yourself in, you make some noise, then you pull yourself out, then you jump back in. You got to go all in. And if he's willing to put the $300 million up, and I think he's already done the due diligence enough to know that he can get himself on every single ballot. But he said something interesting last night. 6, 8, maybe 9 states, they're big swing states. What that says to me is I'm going to put $40 million in certain parts of the country where I just want my name to be known, but I'm going to put the other 250, 260, 350, and anything else I can raise into just certain areas in the country where I know that is all I have to do to win. Is win these states, and I can make enough noise to make this thing interesting. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. We're getting closer and closer to getting this thing done, signed. They will vote on it, I guess, tomorrow night, and they're still fighting over it. And, of course, Trump is still.
It's not hard to see why the president's not happy. He forced a government shutdown to get more money for the wall, more money for border security, and Congress has now come up with a deal after the government shutdown that actually gets him less money for the wall.
But here's one thing. Inside some of this is there is other monies in there, like $3.6 billion, that he could use if he declares a state of emergency almost immediately. There's other monies already allocated in there for certain things that he could start to piecemeal some stuff together. But as I said yesterday, you don't want to take this off the table and get the entire thing built overnight. You want to make this. This was the hallmark of what is your presidential election run-up in 2016. Well, there was jobs and there was all of this other stuff you talked about. The reality is that build that wall, immigration, all of this stuff was absolutely your big hit. So you don't really want to remove that just yet. You want to still play that because you can. And as I talked to several Trump supporters yesterday who were mad, who felt like he's giving in, here's the reality of it. Where are you going to go? Because the next Republican, if he decides he isn't going to run, Pence ain't, if he runs, he ain't building a wall. He can talk about it all day. He's not going to do it, right? He's not. Somebody else runs on the right. You think they're building a wall? No, they like the status quo. So they're not. That's not going to get did the way that you think it's going to get did. So you've got nowhere else to go. If that is your number one thing, and he's still hitting that hit over and over again, and he's going out there saying, I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to do it all. Look at what I have to do. Look what I have to go for. I have to balance putting the nation first, but I also want to make sure I get this done. He can ride this longer. He can raise money on it, and he can continue to energize the base. And along the way, he'll build bits and pieces of it, so you'll be seeing things getting done. But even if we today we go, all right, here's $30 billion, go build your wall. It isn't getting done today. Between lawsuits, not just for people who don't want it there, the potential for eminent domain, between the EPA and people saying you can't build here because of the wee willy winky worm, between cities and states, and it's going to take a long time. So he'll piecemeal it together, but all the while keeping it front and center as part of his 2020 run. And he could say, I didn't get it all done, but I'm not giving up. And people will go, 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Tomorrow is that day. Yeah, that day. Valentine's Day. Remember that? But today is...
Happy Galentine's Day.
What's Galentine's Day?
I'll let Leslie Knope from NBC's Parks and Recreation explain. After all, she created it.
Every February 13th, my lady friends and I leave our husbands and our boyfriends at home, and we just come and kick it breakfast style.
And now art's imitating life with Galentine's Day parties in homes, at restaurants, and in bars across the country.
It's like Lilith Fair, minus the angst.
And the anger and the hatred of men. Chad. Now, I thought this was a joke, but lo and behold, this morning, several of the saleswomen and the administrative staff, who are ladies, came in and they all had like bags of goodies, like they leftover foods. And I'm like, well, and they're like, oh, yeah, we did Galentine's today. I was like, oh, so we need a Palentine's Day. And that includes a weekend in Vegas. Anybody? Anyone? Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm not going because I'm not a good gambler. Galentine's Day. Jeez, what is wrong with you? Guys, tomorrow is Valentine's Day, though, right? So this is it. This is it. You got today to win tomorrow. Does that make sense? You've got today to win Valentine's Day only. 1-800-Flowers.com has your back. You've waited, and you thought, I'll get to it, but you haven't. Get ready for this. Starting at $29.99, they got incredible Valentine's bouquets and arrangements, right? So there's still time for you to win, but you have to get on it now. Valentine's Day is important. You know that for a lot of people out there. It is one of those things. We should treat every day like that, but we don't. So you better not lose at this. And 1-800-Flowers.com has you covered, but you have to order today to lock it in. This is it, and only while supplies last, because by this afternoon, boom, could be gone. They're my Rose Authority. They'll be your Rose Authority. 1-800-Flowers.com to order a beautiful, vibrant Valentine's bouquet starting at $29.99. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com. Click on the radio icon. Enter code Benson. Valentine's Day is tomorrow, so you better get on it today so you can win tomorrow. Order today. Save at 1-800-Flowers.com. Code Benson. At Chad Benson Show. Twitter, ChadBenson. Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
The pilots of Delta Airlines Flight 5763, operated by Compass Airlines, radioed in that they had hit severe turbulence and needed to divert to Reno.
Numerous injuries. We do not have a number on how many injuries. My understanding, we have 2 flight attendants that may be incapacitated with several passengers.
The audio from liveatc.net. On the ground, rescuers got ready.
They also said that there's multiple injuries.
5 people were hurt. 2 passengers and a flight attendant were sent to a hospital in Reno once they landed. On board, pictures show a drink cart. On its side, its contents all over the plane.
Yeah, let's be real, right? Like, I fly a decent amount. Got several flights coming up. You don't think about it, but when you're 35,000 feet in the air and something goes a little wacky, it could be nerve-wracking, right? Even for the best of flyers, it could be a little bit nerve-wracking because you're 35,000 feet in the air. There is no pulling over to go, what's going on? Crazy. Good that nobody, but it also shows you something. Nobody died. There was a few injuries. And if you go and look at records when it comes to flying, how safe it is insane. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Do love hearing from you. Check out the Twitter. Check out the old Instagram as well. Every single day, we deliver it to you from top to bottom, bottom to top, whether it's hot or cold. It's your urban word of the day.
It's time for the urban word of the day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban word of the day.
Ooh, I like this. TRF. Now, you're thinking, what is that? TRF. That's real funny. That is replacing LOL now. is TRF, because LOL is old. LOL is old school. It's mom and dad, right? It's your older brother and sister. It's your aunt and uncle. TRF is new school. That's real funny. TRF is your urban word of the day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you. That there was the urban word of the day. We damn stretched your cranium.
One thing you can be sure of is at the end of the day, the president is going to build the wall.
I often wonder, is he going to build it by himself? Because that would be funny. If he's just out there by himself building a wall. 7 miles is what he's going to start with. 7 glorious miles. 7. We're going to put a lock on it. Wouldn't that be hilarious? A little lock. What if it was a ginormous white picket fence? Would that be bad? Something welcoming, right? Like, how cool would that be? So there's a massive, giant 30-foot picket fence, right? That would like a gate a couple places. Because he says he wants to have doors on it, so we'll do that with a gate a couple places. Oh, that'd be great. I'd like that. That would be interesting. Something like that. Let's be creative. Or better yet, let each state that's building it come up with their own flavor. Like Epcot Center. So California would have a different vibe to Arizona, right? Texas could do some. I mean, let's let them all just have their own little flavor. I'm just thinking outside the box here. If we're going to get this done, let's get it done right. Let's have a little fun with it, okay? Jeez, so sensitive. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Texter texted in, said she got a Galentine present today. Yeah. A card and a pair of earrings and a bracelet. How nice is that? I got nothing because I'm not a gal, but I could be if I wanted to, but I don't want to. But it could be. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad, now you're just being rude. He's the most hated kid in America. No, it's not David Hogg. God, you guys are the worst. Nope. Somebody different on the cover of Esquire magazine. We'll talk about that. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
When I read the Green New Deal, I don't understand how you're going to give a job for everybody, how you're going to give free college to everybody, how you're going to create clean energy throughout the country in every building of the land, and then tally this thing up with $32 trillion on Medicare for all. That's about $40 trillion plus. We are sitting with $22 trillion of debt. It's immoral to suggest that we can tally up 20, 30, 40, $50 trillion of debt to solve a problem that could be solved in a different way.
Oh, God. Let me tell you how you're going to do it. First of all, Ocasio-Cortez and everybody, they're getting stuff together. We're just spitballing here. Howard Schultz. That's even your real name. White privilege. Came from all this giant money. Oh, you're self-made and you're poor? Whatever. It's because you're a male, a cisgendered male. You're the worst kind of person. Cisgender, heteronormative male person. It is funny, right? Like, how are we going to do this? She's like tried to backtrack. Like, all of this stuff was on her website. They had emailed this stuff out to media stuff, and she's backtracking. And I don't think it was ready for prime time. And Mitch McConnell's like, hey, I got a great idea. Why don't we vote on this? Let's see who's put their money where their mouth is, Democrats. It's non-binding, but let's vote on it. Let's vote on the new Green Deal. Let's vote on this thing to find out who is behind all of this stuff. And then we'll go from there. Again, it's non-binding, but we just want everybody to put their name to it. We want everybody to put their name that you fundamentally want to change this. So anybody? Anyone Any? All right. So we'll see what happens there. It is kind of funny, though. It's a new Green Deal. New, it's green, it's a deal. He's the most hated man in America today. And I say the word man loosely because he's not a man yet. He's 17 years old. He's a cisgendered, heteronormative kid from Middle America. Yep, Middle America. And he's on the cover of Esquire. What? Yeah. And he's getting hammered for it. Like he's done something. Right? Like this kid has gone and done something horrific. He hasn't. He hasn't done anything of the such. He's just been a kid that they decided to take a look at in this day and age. In this day and age, a 17-year-old kid from Wisconsin, they wanted to find out what it's like growing up in a world where you're living in the Me Too, you're living in toxic masculinity, you're living in a world that is changing, and in many ways, probably not changing for the better for you, right? His name's Ryan Morgan, and people have come out and just absolutely attacked. Because that's what we do, right? That is our new Olympic sport. It used to be lawsuits, but that's not immediate enough. Now it's destruction. And it shows pictures of him in his, his bedroom and him out hunting and it's like white boy perspectives and struggles and, that people just destroying him. Like, why don't you put a trans African-American, LGBT they're not getting it. First of all, let's explain stuff here. And I want everybody to understand this, right? I want everybody to get this. Damning people because they're cisgendered white males is ridiculous. I'm raising a little cisgendered white male, right? I'm raising a child that's going to grow up in the world where he's being told all the time, because he and I all have talks about stuff, and I just look at him like, first of all, you shouldn't even be discussing half of the stuff that we're talking about here. And secondly, you're paying for your great-great-great-grandfather's sins and your great-grandfather's sins. And your grandfather, who you never met, right, died when I was a kid. It's ridiculous. I'm getting sick and tired of it. I think a lot of people are getting sick and tired of it. It's because you're white, so you're automatically... you have all of this privilege. Well, if it's not that, it's because you're male and you're white and you have privilege. Oh, wait, then you got another thing where you're male, you're white, and you're straight and you got privilege. And then maybe you're not poor, so you're male, you're white, you're straight, and then you're not poor, so there's some more privilege. Oh, you're male, you're white, you're straight, you're not poor, plus mom and dad are still alive and around and in your life. Oh, my God. It's old. It is. If you listen to a lot of these people nowadays, they want you to they would love for me to go, Jack, you're only 8, but everything that you'll ever get in life will be because of the color of your skin. That's it. Not because you work hard, not because you're smart, not because of anything. It's only because of that. That's it. And because of that, you should feel guilty. You should feel awful. You should feel horrible. As I was discussing this with somebody the other day when this came out, and they were just like, you just don't understand. And I'm like, the other thing is we're still primarily cisgendered culture, right? We are. Well, I mean, it's a business too. Let's not forget that. It's a business. Aim small, miss small, aim big, hit big. People don't want to hear that. But what I'm sick and tired of is always being damned. I get it all the time here. You're only there because you're white. Okay. And it's all the privilege you've had. I grew up poor. My dad was a drug addict, alcoholic. My mother was an alcoholic. Had nothing. Busted my ass to get where I'm at. People go, oh, Chad, they all think you just started here. Doesn't work that way. Do some people? Are they lucky? Are they born into situations that are great? Yeah. But it's ridiculous. And to sit around and look at kids nowadays, whether they're going to college or high school, and essentially being told that everything they do is going to be wrong and everything they get is only because of the color of the skin or the fact that they're cisgender normative or whatever this crap is a bunch of crap. It is. It really is. And as a man who is raising somebody to be a little man, to a medium-sized man, to a grown man, in a world where everything socially is going to be blamed on him, come on. That's a bunch of crap. It is. You know it. I know it. But it's okay. So people attack this kid, this Ryan Morgan, who is just the devil. One person says, I don't mind that there exists an article somewhere in the world about young white boy of privilege, but it's Black History Month. Why isn't there any black LGBT female? Because there isn't. People just destroy this guy. Horrible choices. It's ridiculous. People love to bitch. People love to whine. People love to moan. This is my bitching, whining, and moaning. Much like with that stupid commercial with the toxic masculinity. You know what it was? It wasn't the commercial so much of it. It's that people are sick and tired of being told how bad they are, how awful they are, how lucky they are. And we're in a situation right now where there is a fight, a culture fight in this society that we're going through right now. Of the everybody gets trophies, but then some people are bad, but then everything is okay if you're over here, and intersectionality and all of this stuff. And for all of the talk about the culture war that is going on between the radical Islam of the world and some of that stuff, the reality is here in America, we got a problem here too when it comes to a lot of this culture war. We do. Kids. Think about this. He's probably sitting there. I mean, I wondered if he thought to himself, okay, the backlash that's going to come. Because that's the way you have to look at everything nowadays. You say to yourself, all right, I'll do this. But hold on, let me think about it. How many people are going to say horrible things about me? How many people? They won't even read the story. They won't even find out anything. They're just going to look at the article, front page, cover, and the headline, and they're going to judge from there. Shallow indeed. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. He's going to a super, double, triple, quadruple max prison.
El Chapo Guzman likely to spend the rest of his life in an American prison, probably the Supermax prison in Colorado. But that will be determined by the judge in June.
Yeah, super double triple max prison. He's going to a prison, they call it the Alcatraz of the Rockies, that is a prison, and the outside is a prison, meaning even you kind of got out, you're in the middle of godforsaken nowhere. But that's not going to happen. Nobody's ever escaped here. And then inside the prison is more prison on top of more prison on top of more prison. Little 8x8 room. He's going to spend the rest of his life 22.5 to 23 hours a day inside. Outside will be either be in some sort of cage thing with sunshine coming in from the top and probably snipers on him. And the only human touch he's going to get for the rest of his days is going to be the guards putting shackles on and off him. I wonder if he thought it was worth it. And I'll say he probably thought, he's 61 years old. He got away with it for how long? As a billionaire. for a lot of years in a world where he looks around and thought the alternative was worse, and I was probably going to get sucked up to it anyways. His only regret, I'm sure, is getting caught. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet us. Did you see that Bill Cosby said that he's a political prisoner, by the way, for those of you not keeping score, and he has no regrets. And nothing. Does not, there's no remorse, nothing when it comes to what he was convicted of. And he's enjoying prison. It's an eye-opening experience for him. Clown. Puddin' Pop. I got you, Puddin' Pop. What? 2019 is incredible so far. I don't know about you, but I'm sleeping like I've never slept before. I put it to the test. What is that? Oh, that's simple. That's MyPillow. Put it to the test big time. You should do the same thing. You got nothing to lose. You got a money-back guarantee. 4 MyPillows. 2 premium MyPillows, 2 go-anywhere pillows, half the price, free shipping, 100% machine washable and dryable, made in the USA, 10-year warranty. And I'm telling you guys right now, put it to the test like I did. What do you have to lose? Nothing. You're not going to find this deal anywhere else. If you don't like it, it's your money-back guarantee, but you're going to love it. Be the skeptic I was, but when you're a skeptic, you got to put things to the test, and that's what MyPillow wants you to do. 4 pillows, 2 premium pillows, 2 go-anywhere pillows, half the price, free shipping, money-back guarantee. Get it now. 800-944-4975 or go to MyPillow.com. Use promo code Benson. That's MyPillow.com, promo code Benson, BENSON, 800-944-4975 or visit MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
We will get the job done. The wall is very, very on its way. It's happening as we speak. We're building as we speak.
I did not know it was very, very on its way. That's the name of the wall. This is my wall. Very, very on its way. Trump talking about the wall. We're getting $1.3 billion in the budget. And let's remember, the shutdown and everything wasn't over just a wall. As far as like that, it was, yeah, that's why there was a shutdown, but it wasn't that they were fighting over, the only thing they were fighting was the wall, as far as like that's all that was in this. This was the entire budget for this year, right? The wall shut everything down, but they didn't start just saying on its own, this is what we're fighting about, a wall, and there is nothing else in this bill here. It's just a wall bill. No. It was the entire budget. I don't think people understood that. And I am curious to know. You're curious? I am curious. What if he doesn't like the budget? What if he looks and say, I wanted more money for the wall. I didn't get it. There's some stuff in here that I can live with, but there's a lot of stuff in here that I'm going to pass on. And that is interesting indeed. Because remember, last year, to get some stuff done, they just said, oh my goodness, we'll get rid of all these austerity, things, and no more sequestering. Let's spend. And they just spend. And out of that, what did we get? We got a bill that was huge. And what did Trump say? I'm never going to sign anything like this again. Take away this, right? Where he's going to have to live with it at this point in time. The what if side of things is, what if he looks at this and says, wait a minute here. This thing is full of pork and overspending and ridiculousness. I can't. No. And then we go to another shutdown having nothing to do with border security and all to do with overspending because everybody else's eyes have been on this $5.7 billion, now $1.3 billion. But what about the rest? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Jesse Smollett, I am starting to feel, the guy from Empire, spoke out today with Robin Robertson, Good Morning America, and I got to be honest with you, I'm not buying it anymore.
I'm pissed off. What is it that has you so angry? Is it the attackers?
It's the attackers, but it's also the attacks. It's like, at first it was a thing of like, listen, if I tell the truth, then that's it, because it's the truth. Mm-hmm. Then it became a thing of like, oh, how can you doubt that? Like, how do you not believe that? It's the truth. And then it became a thing of like, oh, it's not necessarily that you don't believe that this is the truth. You don't even want to see the truth.
What's the truth? I'm curious, because you said you were beaten up, mugged. It was a hate crime, and then everybody spoke out about it because it would be awful if that's what happened. Chicago cops got involved, as they should do, and they wanted to see your phone, right? And then you didn't turn it over for a few weeks, and when you did, everything was redacted in it that could have backed up your story. People are not corroborating the same thing you're saying when it comes to they saw you and then you had a noose and you didn't have a noose, and they have 30,000 cameras, and none of these cameras show these MAGA violent people running around. I'm not saying they're not there, but it's tough to believe when it seems the things continue to move here in a way that don't quite add up. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. It's your Twitter and your Instagram. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
We want to see what the final piece of legislation looks like. It's hard to say definitively whether or not the president's going to sign it until we know everything that's in it.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders, he's going to sign it. Yes, he is.
I don't want to see another one. There's no reason for it. And we're going to look at the legislation when it comes, and I'll make a determination then.
Yeah, but he's going to sign it. He doesn't want another one. But here's the thing with the signing of this. While we argue about the border and the wall and the whatever you're going to call it, the barrier, and all of this stuff has gone on for $5.7 billion, $1.35 billion, whatever it is, well, all of that is going on, and an argument is happening, and all of this stuff is going on. Remember, this is a full budget. So what is inside of here? Is there pork, and there is something that just continues to add to the debt? You bet your candy there is. Absolutely. He said he wasn't going to sign anything like he did last year. He's promised. We have a spending problem in this country. We're $22 trillion in debt. Obama doubled that debt, and Trump has continued to add on. R&D mean nothing. When somebody says they are a fiscal hawk and they're going to look at the budget, they're full of crap, because they'll actually pour all of the things they can into the trough they're at. And if they could pour even more, they will. The debt is a real issue. Now, if you look at our liabilities and the assets we have in America, it's, we don't want to be Detroit, right? Like, we have to come and repo the city. Like, we're selling stuff. We're like, all right, who wants the Grand Canyon? All right, we don't want to be that, and we're not going to be that. But the reality of it is we have a spending problem in this country, and we've got to get it under control. And we've got to start balancing things in the right way. And we're not doing it. So I'm curious, as if they, say, hey, Mr. President, you weren't thrilled, right? You said it yesterday. You're not happy. You're not happy at all, right? Like, I'm not happy. Okay, fine. I get it. You're not happy. But what if you, who are not happy with the border funding, are not happy at all with the other things in this? Would you be willing to shut it down again until they peel back some of that pork? I think it's a very fair question to ask that I don't hear anybody talking about. And we should be talking about that. Absolutely. But instead, all we talk about and all we hear about, which is a political lightning rod, is the wall.
It's a big wall. It's a strong wall.
Strong.
It's a wall that people aren't going through very easy.
Handsome.
They're going to have to be in extremely good shape to get over this one.
Oh, God.
they would be able to climb Mount Everest a lot easier, I think.
That's a 35,000 wall is what you're looking at there, which is not what's going to happen. Maybe it'll be like Titan Games. Turn it into a game show, right? If you can climb this wall, welcome. But Chad, just throwing it out there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Very interesting thing going on today in New York. You have the governor, Cuomo, totally related to Cuomo on CNN, talking about, well, first of all, he is talking about SALT, state and local taxes, which you can write off, which you can't write off. Because high tax states, California, New Jersey, New York, you see where I'm going with this, Massachusetts, things like this, they're very upset about the new tax laws because they're looking and saying, uh-oh. And first he started out talking about his relationship with thy president.
I'll tell you a secret. There is hostility between myself and the president, but I don't want you to tell anyone else. We have very different positions on almost every issue.
Yeah, very different issues and positions. But SALT is something that New York and California, a lot of other places are upset about because, okay, so here's the way it works, right? Essentially, we'll break it down, try to keep it simple, stupid, because we don't want to bore people, right? We'll make it a musical. A musical! So let's say you live in New York, California, where are these places, and you got property taxes, you got state income taxes, adds up to 60 grand, let's just say. That, you could reduce a lot of that, meaning you could write that stuff off and take that down tremendously to about $36,000, right? So there's write-offs. Woohoo, woohoo, yeah, it's a win, it's a win, it's a win. That's the old. In comes the new, which limits only to 10,000. So that same 60, you're only getting 10 off. So it's 50. It's not a good look, kids. It's not a good look. People are not happy about it. That's why Arizona, what? Nevada, what? Texas, yep. Florida, oh yeah. Are gaining. Idaho, yeah. Why? Taxes. Affordability. Taxes. They're leaving in droves from places because it's just become unlivable. And while he can be mad about SALT and say, look at all the money we give to everybody else and all of this stuff, the reality is it's your high taxes that are causing issues.
How do you think they financed the tax cuts for the rest of the country?
No.
They took it from New York and the Democratic states.
Those are your taxes. Those are your state taxes that people, those are your high property taxes. Those are your taxes. You're not being able to write off anymore. The fact that you overtax in a lot of areas is ridiculous. I think we can all realize that. You're making it unlivable and unaffordable in these cities and states across the country. You are. Read an article the other day that said some 56% of Californians are wanting to leave, having serious conversations about leaving. Why? Because the weather's horrible? No. Because they hate the ocean? No. Because they can't afford to live there. They can't afford to live there anymore. And it's not just the houses are a little too expensive when they're really a lot too expensive. It's the taxes, the overreach, the taxes on top of taxes on top of taxes on top of taxes. The fees that they call fees instead of taxes. It is those things. And they're looking around saying, I can't afford to live here. You've bled me dry. So they go to places like Texas. They go to places like beautiful Arizona, beautiful Nevada, wonderful, glorious Florida, hot diggity dog, Texas. They go there because they're looking around going, I get more for my money. The income side of things, living-wise, pretty damn good, comparable. And maybe we have some weather that I'm not always thrilled with. But I can live, and I'm not taxed to death, and there's no overreach and overburden. I see why, right? I mean, I grew up in California. I was talking to my mom today and my aunt. They would love to leave. They're in a situation with my little brother Spencer because of his condition. It's tough. And they got a couple kids they want to get through school, but they're out. My best friend, buddy, was just in Texas. Lifelong Californian. Born and raised. It's out. I get it. I do. I absolutely get it. And again, the California I grew up with is not the California that's there. I talk to people from New York all the time. Not the same thing. It's a one-party state where people are frustrated beyond all belief, and they look at the fees and the taxes and the livability, the housing shortage. You can blame it on Trump and all these taxes, but the reality is those are your state taxes. Those are your fees. Those are your property taxes that are crushing people. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love to hear from you. We have a spy.
Federal prosecutors said Monica Witt sought to undermine the U.S. and help the government of Iran when she revealed the identity of an American intelligence officer and disclosed the code name and mission of a classified intelligence program. Witt defected to Iran in 2013 and is currently believed to still be there. The same investigation targeted 4 Iranian hackers, said to have targeted Witt's former intelligence colleagues.
Ooh, a spy. Like, that's how spying's done, like real spying. It's not like, very, very, very few James E. Bond type situations out there. Yeah, so she spied for Iran. What? Somebody spy? There's spies everywhere, right? You have any people that are here spying for China? And it's not the spying that you think. It's like corporate espionage. Plenty. I mean, look at Huawei and the way that. Look at a lot of this stuff. I mean, it's insane. It is. This is just different. They caught her, but they didn't catch her. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Very interesting. We talk about the debt. Wait till you hear this story about debt when it comes to our cars. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
Not all drugs are the same. And when we're talking about marijuana, look, I have forever been an advocate for medicinal marijuana. I have personally known people who only benefited from its use. So there are a lot of reasons why we need to legalize.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Like
and I inhale. I did inhale.
Okay.
It was a long time ago. But yes.
I know you have to go. They say you have to go.
I just broke news.
I mean, was it in college?
Oh, no. The right's freaking out about that. Right? Totally freaking out about that. Oh, my God, listen to her. She smokes. I was here listening to some people today talk about it. I was like, settle down, right? Just get over yourself. Here's the issue I think some people have is you're a prosecutor and you went hard at people who were drug dealers, and that's, you're talking about you smoking, and then, a lot of people are saying, well, she also talked about how she listened to Snoop Dogg and Tupac, and she was actually in college before they released their first albums. I'm like, get over yourself. Who cares, right? That's an issue, though. And she's on with Charlamagne the God, who is dude's got lots of sway. He's an influencer, as they call him. But I sit there and I'm just like, well, okay, but you prosecuted the hell out of it. And you're laughing about it now. And I'm okay. Look, I'm okay. I think it should be legal. I do. I got no problems with it. But I just sit there and I'm like, come on now. And this is where you want somebody to be genuine, right? Where you're like, look, for my job, I prosecuted because I look at the things that it did. I couldn't do it any other way. And legalizing it, I think, has helped out. But when you're fighting a drug war, we took a different approach to it. And we went after it hard because nobody gets elected by being soft on crime. Right? And we saw the devastation of what it did. And looking back on it, we should have done more to understand it. But she didn't. And then the whole disingenuous kind of thing of,
was it a blunt or joint?
It was a joint.
Hey.
Yeah.
You remember the high?
I do.
So if it was legalized all throughout the country and medicinal, would you do it?
Listen, I think that it gives a lot of people joy, and we need more joy.
We need more joy in this world.
I don't care. I know some people did, and they freak out. But the disingenuousness of the answers sometimes that you get from politicians I find it ridiculous. I do.
Sign of an impending economic apocalypse. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York says more than 7 million Americans are more than 90 days behind on their car loans, a far greater number of delinquencies than just before the worldwide economic collapse in 2008. Despite reports of a strong economy and low unemployment rates, some economists say the car loan crisis could be a warning of another economic crash in the making.
Yeah, that's interesting. 90 days. Everybody's been there, right? Like when you first start and you're struggling, things are going well, something happens, you think you fall here, then you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and you're just trying to keep your head above water. It happens, right? It does. And the other thing is, too, for a lot of people out there, because it's the one thing that everybody asks. When you go buy a new car, the first thing you ask is, what's the payment going to be? Right? Like what's the payment going to be? And sometimes people bite off more than they can chew. I think a lot of us have been there. Raise my hand. We've all been there. We've all been there. I was watching Live PD last week, and this person they put on fake tags and fake license plate, and they were trying to do all kinds of stuff to hide their car from the person. The Grim Reaper coming to take the Grim Reaper man. Repo man. Oh, not the Grim Repo man. But that's a lot of people. I mean, you think about it. You're like, okay, how many people probably have loans? How many car loans do you think are out there? And you look out in the parking lot, it says, hey, maybe is it 1 out of every 10 car loans? So you look out in the parking lot, you see 100 cars, you're like, oh my, 10 of those people are 90 days late. Ooh. Yikes. 10 of those people are 90 days late. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Valentine's Day tomorrow. You better get out there and get your thing. I was reading how much on average a man spends compared to a woman. And men spend about 3 times as much. And that doesn't include the tip. So, I mean, that is a lot of Chad. You're awful. But that is a lot of, when you think about it, 3 times. But it is so geared only for men to give. Right? It is. Talk a little Schultz. Had a little town hall last night. And El Chapo. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
You commit to releasing your tax returns this week.
I'm not yet decided to run for president, but if I decide to run for president, I 100% will release my taxes and be completely transparent.
We all remember May 2014.
Yeah.
when now President Trump said exactly the same thing.
Yeah, but I think President Trump, unfortunately, has a habit of not being truthful. And I think I raise my hand to all of you, and I can promise you, not only will I pay my taxes, not only will I release my tax return.
Yes, pay his taxes, release his taxes. But the tax question was very interesting last night because people want to know, do the rich pay their fair share? Should you guys be paying more? Because he brought up, as did other people, this whole Ocasio-Cortez that 70% tax, is what people over X amount of dollars should make. And in fairness to her, let me explain it. Not 70% from dollar one. You get to a certain level, and then from every dollar forward, you're paying 70%.
If you look at the American people and you ask them this following question, do you trust the government? Do you trust Congress? Most people in America say, I've lost trust and confidence in Congress and certainly in the president. And so when you ask people to pay more taxes, we have to make sure that there is a agreement that your additional tax dollars are going to be spent wisely by the government.
To me, that is very important when it comes to taxes. You ask most people, right? Do you like paying taxes? Nobody goes, oh, yeah, it sounds like the greatest thing in the world. But there's it's necessary here for what we have in this country, right? It is. But do you trust that the government is going to be a good steward of your money? That they're going to do the right thing with your money? That, to me, is very important. Is very important. And when it comes to people like him and Bill Gates today, who came out and said, nobody should be as rich as I am, you don't have to be that rich, Bill. You give it all away tomorrow. There is a thing on. Producer Phil and I were texting about it last night as we were talking about it. If you want to pay more, you can pay more. You can write down and pay more. What'd you say it was, Phil? You were going to tip America?
Yeah, exactly. We'll just turn America into a tipping service. You just pay your taxes plus 20%.
There you go. If you want to, you can. Nobody's stopping you. But here's the other thing. For a lot of people out there I talk to, myself included, what are you going to do with it? I've seen it at the state level, right? I've seen it at the national level. You're not a good steward with the money. You take it and you use it on other things and you overspend and then you come back and you ask for more. And by asking, you're telling, but you're pretending that you're asking. If you knew, people would be less. For me, right? This is just me. I wouldn't bitch whine so much if, just like I think a lot of you guys out there wouldn't, if you thought, well, you know what? They're doing good with my taxes. They're doing some good with my taxes. They're doing something with my taxes. I've always said this. Why don't you let the people decide what they want to do with their taxes? So you want 25% of my money, 30% of my money? Great. I want to be able to designate where that money goes. So if you want to put it all in military, that's where you got to put my money. If you want to put it all with the Medicares of the world and poverty and all of these other programs, there you go. Watch what happens. You had a say in it. And I think that's the frustration for a lot of people. And I'm a huge proponent of the flat tax. I'm a huge proponent of a flat tax. People say, well, how's that going to help? Because of the loopholes, which, by the way, again, let's point that these are all legal loopholes. People say, oh, they're cheating on their taxes. No, they're just beating the system that they didn't design, but they're beating the system. So they're not cheating, they're beating. You have a flat tax and you find out that these people who make X amount of dollars, right, and they pay 11% on average, this, that, and the other, you hit them with 25%, they don't have to do anything else. For a lot of people, it's convenience, right? Convenient. I don't have to worry about anything. There you go. I don't have to worry about anything. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Oh, El Chapo.
El Chapo will be sentenced in June. He will likely spend the rest of his life in prison. Now, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas saying overnight that he believes any seized assets should be used to fund that border wall.
Which is interesting.
It's always interesting. Anything Ted does is interesting. So that's certainly an interesting.
And I'm curious about what El Chapo is worth. Because you've heard everything from $4 billion to $14 billion. You never know. I mean, you look back at when Pablo Escobar was at his height of power and money. I don't think there was anybody else richer in the world. I don't think so. When you read that he was going through $10,000 a month in rubber bands or something like that just for the money, they were losing $1 million or $2 million a week from the elements and from mice and rats eating the money. Weekly. When you think about that for instance, you're like, whoa. So it's hard to actually put it into full numbers what his worth is, but that is very interesting, right? If he is $14 billion, Ted Cruz once introduced a bill that says, hey, we'll take that money, we'll build a wall. We'll call it the El Chapo wall. Speaking of El Chapo, he is going somewhere. And where exactly is he going?
El Chapo Guzman likely to spend the rest of his life in an American prison, probably the Supermax prison in Colorado. But that will be determined by the judge in June.
Yeah, the Supermax prison in Colorado, they call it the Alcatraz of the Rockies. It is literally a prison inside of a prison, inside of a prison, inside of a prison. I said yesterday, he will probably have little to no contact with another human being for the rest of his life. And the only human touch he will get is the guards shackling him and unshackling him to take him out for his hour a day inside of, it's like inside outside, like you're in a cage outside with snipers looking at you. And Ted Kaczynski is in this prison. You have, you've got the let's see here. There was the Boston bomber. Tsarnaev is here. You've also got the blind sheikh from the first bombings of the World Trade Center. I think it was at like 93. You've got him there. And then you've got a lot of other people that you wouldn't know, like the Aryan Brotherhood and others who cannot be around any other human beings ever again. And it is literally a prison inside of a prison inside of a prison. And that's where he's going to spend the rest of his life, which he's 61 years old. So he's not going to live another 50 years there, you wouldn't think. But, man, just for a second, like next time you walk into your, like, let's say you've got a room, not your master bedroom, but just another regular room. And you walk in there and you look around and you think to yourself, all right, so it's probably 3/4 the size or even half the size. Maybe he has a television, maybe he doesn't. He'll get some pens or pencils, some stuff to write with. Outside of that, you spend every waking second of every moment of the rest of your life in there. Now, just because he's gone doesn't mean they are gone.
He was most famous for that Sinaloa cartel. It is still active in Mexico. It is still very powerful. And police believe that it is still being used to traffic drugs into the United States, perhaps as much as 20% of the drug market right now.
Yeah. That's a lot, kids. That is a lot of money that they're still making and coming in. So it's not going anywhere. Just because, like I said yesterday, you can cut off the snake's head. But unlike, the difference is this snake can regenerate its head. So you're not killing this snake. This snake is still there, right? These cartels don't disappear. They continue just like another big business would. They just replace the CEO with somebody else. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. We are less than a day away from Valentine's Day.
You've heard how expensive it can be to celebrate Valentine's Day, but you still want to buy something for your beloved. Doug Whiteman with MoneyWise.com says one way to save money is to pass on expensive French champagne.
You can find a perfectly good bottle of domestic bubbles for around $10.
And when it comes to buying that something sparkly,
why go in for the expensive diamond earrings when you can buy beautiful handmade jewelry for a fraction of the cost?
Opt for locally made chocolates over pricey brand name and pick up those roses instead of having them delivered.
No, you can have them delivered, 1-800-Flowers.com. But we spent $162 on average for Valentine's Day. It's over $20 billion spent tomorrow. So, you know, it's still expensive. It's $162. And if you think the average person is living paycheck to paycheck, that's a bite out of the average person's thing. You know, like, I got to get this, I got to get that. It's and it's a day, man. You think to yourself, oh, is it really that important? It's important. You may not think it, but some people keep score. I'm just saying. Hey, speaking of Valentine's Day, ladies, and maybe even for yourself, clean eating, clean living, right? You want the Green New Deal? This is the green. And I'm talking about Butcher Box, right? You're going to save yourself some green, and it's just the best way to eat meat. It is. Delivered right to your door, less than $6 a meal. And this is what's great. Humanely raised, no antibiotics, no hormones, grass-finished, right? Grass-fed beef, organic free-ranging chicken, heritage-bred pork, which I rave about the pork, and they've got salmon. They got me to eat fish. I went out and bought a new barbecue because I thought that the barbecue I had wasn't up to snuff for Butcher Box. So what are you waiting for? Cuts and quality, you're not going to find them anywhere else. It is amazing. You're not going to get this in stores. Only one way to get it. Free shipping coming straight to you. And again, less than $6 a meal. What are you waiting for? Get on this now. Butcher Box is offering my listeners 2 free cuts of filet. So good. The most tender premium cut of beef from Butcher Box. Free bacon, which is just, that's great right there. And $20 off your first box. That's more than $50 savings right now. All you have to do is go sign up right now. ButcherBox.com/Chad. ButcherBox.com/Chad. Limited time. Sign up today. Get all of those great things. ButcherBox.com/Chad. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
At California's Jet Propulsion Lab, NASA Associate Administrator Thomas Zurbuchen says scientists put out one last call to Opportunity.
Our beloved Opportunity remains silent.
Opportunity has helped change our understanding of the red planet.
They didn't go and find life, but they weren't really designed to do that.
But planetary geologist Scott Harris at the Fernbank Science Center says they helped determine the questions to be asked by the next rover, Mars 2020, which will look for signs that Mars once was hospitable to life.
No, man, it's dead. It lived a good life. Let's be real. That thing was supposed to die a long time ago. So I think it did its job, but finally it's like, I can't go on. Poor thing. Remember Bret Michaels? Right? Remember him? A rock star. Those 80s, big hair band, all of that stuff. Well, he's got a daughter.
Rain chose to go down to a university in Tennessee that deals with music and broadcasting. And in the midst of doing this, she tried out for Sports Illustrated. She made it first cut, which was like 100, then down to 60, then down to 16. And then she finally made the top 6. And what I love about her, she's very humble. She's hardworking. So as a dad, I'm proud, but bittersweetness involved because it's your daughter doing bikini, Sports Illustrated. So it's a bittersweet thing.
Yeah. That's what you call a little revenge. It's not. He's happy. And I'm going to say this, producer Phil and everybody, I did the homework that sometimes you have to do in situations like this, and I just wanted to see if she was, okay looking. And yeah.
If I just look at it like this, I think she will be classy. It'll be awesome, and I'm proud.
And you might not understand this, Phil, but one of your favorite movies of all time, The Last Sharknado, she was in The Last Sharknado. So
Nice.
And her mom is Christy Gibson. And her dad, of course, is Bret Michaels, who is a pop star rock and roll super songwriter who led some band called Poison. Poison! He did say this, though, and he was talking about Poison and in the world of Me Too. He said, we partied hard. There was lots of women. There was all kinds of stuff, but we never once did anything that wasn't above board. And you'll find no issues with us. Because I think a lot of people in this day and age, I mean, you go back in the world of retro rage or the world of we're now going back and saying, think about, the old days of the roadies and the people wanting to get backstage and the fans and all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, the groupies and this, you probably thought to yourself, And he said not once did they do anything, and it goes for all of them, which I thought, well, you know what, you can get that out there and say that, right?
The World Health Organization and the International Telecommunications Union are out with new standards for the manufacture and use of personal audio devices. They find nearly half of all people ages 12 to 35, or more than 1 billion people worldwide, are at risk of hearing loss due to prolonged and excessive exposure to loud sounds. The recommendations, which are voluntary, say personal audio devices should include software that provides parental controls to limit volume.
What made me laugh there is they're voluntary. Oh, there are? So nobody's going to be wandering around as headphone police going, are your headphones on too loud? Because they feel like they're on too loud. They're not on too loud. Being in this industry, and I have headphones that I wear for a living, obviously, I can't stand loud. And I don't know how people do it, because I will go into a room and I'll plug my headphones in and I'll notice that the person who was in before me has it literally dialed up to 11 out of 10. And I don't know how people do it. Like, how deaf are you? Because I like it very quiet and very low. And I think part of that is also when I did voiceovers for a long time, and still continue to do voiceovers, but I think when you put headphones on and you talk into a microphone, sometimes you try to do things that are very radio or very announcery or very, and it's not real. And I think without headphones, you have a natural kind of way about you that you're not going to get. But, man, I always wonder how deaf some people are. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at me. Love hearing from each and every one of you. I try to answer everybody. Don't always have a chance to do that, but I try to get back to every single one of you as best that I possibly can in some way, shape, or form. Check us out on the old Instagram as well. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Donald Trump had $20 billion in hand for the wall and for border security. He said no to that deal. He then shut down the government over $1.6 billion, saying he needed his $5.7 billion. Instead of $5.7 billion, they give him even less than the $1.6 billion they offered him a month ago. This reminds me of Homer Simpson and Lionel Hutz negotiating with Montgomery Burns, where he says, I have another offer for you, and hands him a slip of paper that says 0, and they go, we'll take it.
Joe, you are just the most handsome man ever. That's Mika. That's my Mika Brzezinski. You guys, did you feel it? Like if you close your eyes, oh, Joe, it's like, oh my God. Chad, you and her are never in the same room together. Nope, we are not. He jacked the pooch, some may say. I continue to say that this situation with the wall is an ongoing situation that the Trump campaign, not Trump the president, but the campaigning for 2020 will enjoy, because it is the signature hit song of Trump classics that everybody wants to hear over and over and over again. And just because they offer you X, Y, and Z, right? Like, oh, they offered him all the... Go back and look at some of the stuff and how they wanted to allocate certain things. And it was not like, oh, yeah, here's your $25 billion for your wall. We're not talking about that. Because let's also remember this. I don't see anything in here for DACA, right? I don't see any of this other stuff in there. So did either side win? Here's the more important thing. Did America get anything out of it? Because I don't know if we did. And I still want to know what the hell's in this thing.
At the end of the day, the last government shutdown was disastrous for Donald Trump. It was disastrous politically for the Republicans, and they had no way out, did they? They just basically had to take what they were offered, because Mitch McConnell and the Republicans of the Senate weren't going to take another government shutdown.
And quite frankly, Mitch McConnell and a lot of the other people that are on the Republican side could care less about fixing the immigration problem, because they enjoy it. Because they got fat donors who got big smiles on their face, who love cheap labor. So they're fine with the status quo. And for all of you out there who are like, oh, my God, that sounds awful. Like the Democrats care about these people. They don't. They care about their vote. But as far as caring about them, nah. I'll tell you this right now. If tomorrow the Hispanic, Latino vote decided they were all going to vote conservatively and Republican, do you know what would happen? Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer would put on their dungarees and they'd head down to Arizona, to Texas, and anywhere else they could, and they'd start building themselves a wall all by themselves. Here we go. We're building a wall. Come on, Chuck. All right, Nancy. So don't tell me that, right? Don't tell me, oh, you got to understand something, Chad. No. Will he sign it? Yeah, I think he's going to sign it. But I'm more curious about what this does to our debt. I want to see what else is in here. Because he promised he wasn't going to sign this bill like this ever again last year. I want to see what's in it. I want to see what's in it. Last night, CNN, Howard Schultz got his town hall opportunity. Producer Phil texts me and goes, why doesn't everybody get these? And the next thing you know, Klobuchar has one on Monday. I think Kamala Harris has had one. I believe Cory Booker's had one. I don't know if they'll give Trump another opportunity at that. That would be very interesting, right? I mean, why not? In theory, because he is running. I think you have to be considered like a favorite. You got to be in the top 5 or so to be considered a player. But Howard Schultz last night, because of who he is and because everybody at CNN has had a latte, they thought, hey, this guy's interesting. And I do believe he's interesting. And last night he had a chance to get his message, or at least the beginning of his message, to America.
And I'll just ask you a question of all of you. Does anyone in this audience think that the United States government is doing well for you and your family, or for the country and the American people? Raise your hand if you think the government is doing well for you.
Not a single hand.
So no one in this audience thinks the government is doing well. That is why I'm here. And I got good news for you. We can fix it. But we can't fix it under a broken system where the far left and the far right are more engaged every single day in more interested in self-preservation, self-interest, and not representing you.
Oh, they got engaged? Oh, they don't care. It's party over people. But we've always talked about that. I find him to be interesting. And the pushback I always get is, well, you know, he's a centrist. He needs to pick a side. You don't have to pick a side. The whole thought of picking a side, it's either you blanket believe everything on this side, even though you may only believe 70 of it, right? Being a centrist, being the exhausted majority, and that is America right now. If you look around at both parties, you've got fighting and infighting. You've got the ultra-right, right? You've got the progressive, uber-left, borderlining on socialism and insanity. You've got run-of-the-mill Democrats, right, who go to church, believe in the Second Amendment, but are okay with pro-choice and are union members, which is a lot of them, like a vast majority. You've got Republicans who are, you know what? They go to church as well. They believe in the Second Amendment, and they want less government. And they're about freedom and liberty and do it on your own. And they don't want to pay ridiculous taxes. They don't want to go to. So that's the exhausted majority. That's 68, 70% of the country who are looking and saying, you over here on the far, far left, you no longer represent us. And that's where the party is moving to for whatever reason. And you over here on the far, far right, I'm sorry, I don't identify with that. But my choices are what? He may be the choice. And that's if he decides he wants to get into it. The question a lot of people asked last night and we're curious about is, because especially from the left, you get into this, Howard Schultz, right? Here you are, right? You got a little bit of name recognition. You're worth $3-4 billion, you know, CEO and guy that runs Starbucks, and you're all of these things, and you're talking about the fact that you were a lifelong Democrat, but you no longer look at them anymore and say, you know what, I can't identify, and I'm not going to run as a Democrat. I'm going to run as an independent because I think there's both sides have opportunity to grab voters. But the question that comes from the left when they hear this is, oh my God, he's going to take away votes from anybody on the left, which will ensure Trump gets another 4 years. People asked him about that.
If the math doesn't tally up when I get to the next 3 or 4 months and I take my message out to the American people and I continue to talk this way about how concerned I am about the country and how much I think we can do so much better under a different process, if the numbers don't add up, I will not run for president because I will not do anything whatsoever to reelect Donald Trump. But no one wants to see him fired more than me.
No. For a lot of people on the left, that's what they want to hear, but they didn't get the answer I think they wanted. Right? And he said something last night about the way that he's taking this on. He's already done the homework. He's already done the legwork. He's willing to put $300+ million of his own money into it, and he has access to other people out there who also have money. And what he said that I found to be maybe the most intriguing thing is he said, look, there are 6, 7, 8, 9 states that really, really, really are the states you have to win if you're going to do anything. What that said to me is, oh, you're going to be on the ballot, but you're going to concentrate all of your money in those 6, 7, 8, 9 states, and you're going to be there day in and day out, and you're going to blanket those states with radio, television, people going door to door. You're going to do town halls. You're going to focus on, this is what I have to do to win, because even if I lose the rest, I can do enough here to become a player. And I think he's going to run. Now, he says he's going to take the next 2, 3, 4 months. He's going to go on this, nationwide tour. He's going to go around town halls, meet and talk to people. And I think what he's going to find out is a lot of people are interested in getting rid of this, duopoly. I call it a monopoly because I think both parties, for all intents and purposes, are the same, right? They're the same. They're doing the same job, right? It's just that today you're doing it for the team on the right. Today you're doing it for the team on the left. Most of you, you may idealistically, you got into it for certain things, but you become professional politicians. So whether you're wearing the Yankees jersey or the Dodgers jersey, you're still playing baseball and you want to win. You could be traded tomorrow to the Yankees and you'd be fine with that. So I think a lot of people would like an option that isn't these two, but, and there's a but there, you got to have the commitment because you got to go all in. That's the fear. They don't want you to dip your toe in, pull it back, dip your toe in, pull back, dip your toe in. People want you to go all in. And this is something I think is vitally important, is for the voter, they want to see that you're viable, meaning you're real. You're not cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, because a lot of the other third-party candidates that are out there are so far wacky, right? The McAfees of the world and all that it just, the Gary Johnsons, they just don't feel like they have it. They want to know that, hey, you are able to play with the big boys and girls in the big boys and girls sandbox at recess, and you can hold your own. And then I think they'll feel confident enough to vote. But you got to win that confidence. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Happy Galentine's Day. This is where gals apparently go out and they ditch their boyfriends and their husbands and they go have breakfast and brunch and they hang out and they talk, and I'm sure they whine, bitch, and moan about men, which is totally fine. I got no problem with that, kids, right? Because we are easy. You can whine, bitch, and moan about us all the time, right? There is no Palentine's Day, which is what I think we need to come up with. Phil and I are trying to figure out what next year we're going to have Palentine's Day, where us pals get together and do pal things. Like maybe go to a movie. Right? We're just going to go see a movie. So you release a movie like a comic book movie or something. Like tomorrow, I think Alita, Battle Angel comes out. Like, dudes, go see that. Maybe go golf. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter. Speaking of Valentine's Day, less than 24 hours to get it right. 1-800-Flowers.com has your back. But this is it. You miss this. You swing and miss this, and you buy the convenience store, right? Pharmacy store, flowers, next to your pack of gum that you just purchased, and you're going to look like a loser. So win at Valentine's Day. This is what they've got for you. Incredible. 1-800-Flowers.com has all these incredible boutiques and arrangements, bouquets and arrangements. And here's the thing. When I tell you this is it, like tomorrow there's no, hey, Chad, you got something? No, I don't. This is it. So for $29.99, bouquets, they got some arrangements, they got a lot of good stuff, but this is it. You got to order it today. It's got to get done today. They're going to take care of you. You just tell them, hey, who sent you? You say, Benson sent me. You say, all right, got you covered. But this is it. They're my Rose Authority. They're yours. $29.99. Bouquets, that's what they're starting at. Get yours today. Win at Valentine's. You order today, you win at Valentine's tomorrow. 1-800-Flowers.com. Click on the radio icon. Enter code Benson. Don't screw this up, right? Because I don't want to hear, I'm blaming it on Chad. Nope. You did it right. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com. Order today. Use my code Benson. 1-800-Flowers.com. Code Benson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Rent free.
That's Michael Jackson, for those of you not keeping score. So, Motown's got their big 60 anniversary celebration. Nary a mention of one Michael Jackson or the Jackson 5 in it. Yeah. I think slowly but surely people are starting to realize, especially after these two damning documentaries that have come out, including the was it Leaving Neverland. It is not good. And I think people are just saying, okay, we don't want part of this. You know, I mean, we just, because more and more, it used to be when I would bring it up years ago, we talk about it, having been through all the things I went through as a kid, and I would say, I'm sorry, I can't. He's awful. What he did, what I think he did, allegedly, was awful. And people say, oh, he's great, he's incredible, he's all this stuff. They don't even have the moonwalk. The 25th anniversary of Motown, and they had the big moonwalk, and everybody talking. The thing that got Ralph Northam in trouble. They don't even have that. So that is kind of, I mean, think about it. He's not even anywhere in there. Or the Jackson 5. That is pretty amazing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Trump is expected to sign the, not border deal, as I explained, it's the budget. But with the budget being signed, they're going to vote on it, I guess, tomorrow as they were to work out the I'm going to dot the I over here, cross the T. As they do that, he's expected to sign it. I want to see what else is inside of this, because when and if he gets it and he signs it, that does what? That keeps the government running.
I don't want to see another one. There's no reason for it. And we're going to look at the legislation when it comes, and I'll make a determination then.
And here's my question, Mr. President, seeing as we're not on speaking terms anymore. If you don't like the budget and it has nothing to do with the border deal, what happens then? Because you promised you weren't going to sign some bloated, ridiculous thing that was, you promised that wasn't going to happen. And with the debt continuing to rise over and over again, I'm just curious about that. What would you do? All right. Again, fiscal responsibility. It's rising fast under you. It rose really, 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 really fast under Obama. Doesn't matter who's in. It seems to be rising, and I don't see any financial responsibility from either side. So just curious what would happen if you say, I can live with the security at the border, which I don't like, and I wanted more, but some of this other stuff, that would be interesting. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. The Green New Deal is going to get a test thanks to Mitch McConnell. And vaccinations. Wait till you hear this. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Green New Deal. Interesting indeed. A lot of people have been making fun of it.
Many of the Democrats in Congress responded to my call for bipartisan cooperation by instead choosing hey, look, did you ever see anything? Radical resistance. It's the radical left. But maybe it'll change. It all has to do with 2020 and the election. But I really don't like their policy of taking away your car, of taking away your airplane flights, of let's hop a train to California, of you're not allowed to own cows anymore. You know, there are a lot of problems.
Now, Ocasio-Cortez pushed back on the Green New Deal, and she said, that's none of that stuff's in there, except for it came from her office, and chances are the stuff they sent out, maybe they didn't want it all sent out. And there's the other side of it, too, where maybe she's trolling people. We'll see how angry we can get people. But you have to say big, bold, crazy things to get anybody to pay attention to you nowadays. And the media is a perfect example. There are shows that I'm friends with, that I work with, and we talk about all the time, that if we were more insane one way or another, we'd get 10 times the media press. But that's not who we are. It's not. But she tweeted out something. Why do you think I don't want cows? I like milkshakes, because somebody said that they were going to get rid of milkshakes and hamburgers. She's like, I like milkshakes as much as the next person, and I want to go visit my family in Puerto Rico, so why would I want to get rid of airplanes? Well, because what you sent out essentially does that. And you could say, well, I didn't send it out. I did send it out. I didn't send it out. It came from my office, but it wasn't what the final thing that we were looking at, and blah, 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 blah. But the Green New Deal that has been getting talked about, because let's be real, they do want to implement the pipe dream that it is. People know it's never going to happen. Although there's some, I think, that think, well, this could totally happen. But there's a lot in there that through social and political pressure may actually happen, which could potentially radically change a lot of what America's about. And last night, Howard Schultz on CNN with his town hall talked about that there Green New Deal.
Let's maybe bring up the topic of the day, which is the Green New Deal. I read with great interest what they were suggesting. And I think these are well-intentioned people, and like me, are gravely concerned about our climate change, but we have to be sensible about it. Here we are in Texas, where oil and gas is a primary product, but yet you lead the nation in wind energy. So it's not an either-or situation. We can do both.
And he brought it up. And look, I've been saying that all along. We can do both. But the way that they want to implement it and how they would like to do it would fundamentally not only change America, I think in a very short period of time, we would look a lot more like Venezuela than America. But we can absolutely do both. I would love to. I've not met anybody who goes, I'd like to get off fossil fuels. Not get off fossil fuels. I want to stay this way forever. I want to continue to be on fossil fuels. No, I've met a ton of people who would love to get off fossil fuels. Many of them who are on the right side of the aisle. But what they don't want to do is to blow everything up. Just so we could say, oh, look what we've done now. You've got to do it in a smart way. And you have to do it in a way that actually works, too. That's the other thing. You got to do it in a way that works. Not only actually works, as meaning your energy on a day-to-day basis, but works for and with the economy.
But when I read the proposed bill in terms of the Green New Deal, and I read that by 2030, they're suggesting that every building in America conforms to clean energy, it's not realistic. That would mean that between 2,000 and 3,000 buildings a day would have to be reconstructed. So let's be sensible about what we're suggesting. Let's not just throw stuff against a wall because it's a good slogan or we get a press release. Let's be truthful.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But so many have just jumped at the Green New Deal. It's like, and they've not read it, but the social pressure to be on that side. So Mitch McConnell today is going to say, let's put this thing to the test, right? Let's vote on this. Let's see what happens, right? We're going to give you guys a vote. We're going to give you guys a vote. Because many of the people in the Senate, they come out and they're all for it. And some of them are running for president. And it sounds great, but now it's, hey, let's put your money where your mouth is. Let's have a vote on this thing and see where this thing goes. Let's do that. And we'll see what happens here. Now, it's a non-binding resolution, so nothing's going to come out of it. But it's the whole thought process of now you're being put in a position where you're going to have to say yay or nay on something that once you get into the meat of it is, on its surface, it's hard to believe. Once you get into the meat of it, it's ridiculous. It's more fantasy than reality. And I like the fact that he's going to do that. I think, hey, you know what? Okay, let's see what you guys got. Again, it's non-binding resolution, but we'll give you guys a vote and we'll see what's going on. We'll see what it's all about. I don't know. Why not, though, right? We're having fun. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So, what do they call it? Vaccination resistant parents? It's not anti-vaxxers. You're vaccination resistant. There's a movement going on. There's a movement afoot, if you will, in this country where you're getting kids who are older and some who are even younger who are looking at mom and dad and saying, yeah, you know what? I want to get vaccinated.
I question her judgment, but not her care.
For most of his life, Ethan Lindenberger thought it was normal for most kids not to get immunized. But about 2 years ago, he began to see how the posts about vaccines his own mother was sharing on social media were dangerous.
You have something like measles, which is a preventable disease that we can vaccinate against, that I and many people believe is coming back because of opinions like the ones that have influenced my mom.
Yeah, big time. They go out there and who shares these things? Let's talk about that for just a quick second. Who shares these things? Usually overeducated, a little bit older, men and women, Gen Xers, and some baby boomers who share this information. And this information that they share, just like with a lot of other political stuff, is false. And they share the hell out of it. Then they say, well, we're not going to do this. And all of a sudden, in states across the country, we're seeing what? We're seeing measles and things that were eradicated and that were virtually non-existent popping up left, right, and center again. And kids are saying, you know what? Mom, Dad, that may be good for you. I'm not worried about it. I want to get vaccinated.
In November, Lindenberger asked strangers on Reddit where he could go to get up to date with his shots. My parents are kind of stupid, he wrote. God knows how I'm still alive.
I was like, what? I was just blown away.
Jill Wheeler is his mother.
There's a degree of feeling like, he doesn't trust what I say as a parent.
Well, that's because you're sharing false information. Right? And you're going out there and you're looking and you're saying, this is this. If you do this, you're going to get this. And scientists, they say that's not going to happen. And what's funny is I'll argue with somebody who's, quote unquote, an anti-vaxxer or vaccine resistant parent or somebody. And they'll tell me, we'll talk about climate change and this, and they'll say it's settled science, but this science isn't settled.
That wasn't to blame my parents for anything or make them look dumb. That came from a place of frustration and trying to deal with this issue and find common ground.
Lindenberger showed his parents scientific studies that showed vaccines were safe and effective, but his mother remained unconvinced.
I think it was just straight up fear of him getting these immunizations and having a bad reaction.
Okay, what kind of bad reaction? That's just it. Is it autism? What are you worried about? I mean, let's think about this for a second. What kind of reaction are you worried about? Well, what if he gets really sick? Okay, what if something like that, he has a reaction? I read yesterday that baseball stadiums are taking out peanuts and Cracker Jacks because people are allergic to it. And you're worried about whether or not he's going to have a reaction? What kind of reaction? Are you worried about the autism thing? Right? Because Jenny McCarthy said you should worry about autism, because that's what I feel like you're doing.
Lindenberger is 18, and in Ohio, he's old enough to get shots without his parents' permission. In December, he got vaccinated for influenza, hepatitis, tetanus, and HPV. His 16-year-old brother, who's now considering also getting his shots, will have to wait.
Yeah, we'll see. And here's something weird. There are 7 states where you don't need your parents' permission, so you're minor. There's more states where you can go and get an abortion without your parents' consent than vaccinations. Soak that up for a second. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Hey, cost of repairs, they're out there. You got to be careful, right? You don't want to spend a ton of money. Something goes wrong with your car. You'll have to make that decision. Do I get a new car? What do I do? Or do I pay to have this thing fixed? Well, do what I did. Get extended vehicle protection from CarShield. It's handled right there. Period. Case closed. They take care of everything for you. 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. And oh, by the way, that shop, I talk about that, but how important is it to take it to a place where you trust, whether it's a dealership or a mechanic you know is going to do the job right, and then they get them paid directly. You pay a small deductible, and that is it. And it is vitally important, because too often I've heard stories about people who end up taking their car to a fly-by-night place that these other places tell you to go, and they're just putting together just anything Legos are holding it together because they want you out. Not with CarShield. Save yourself thousands of future car repairs. Get covered by the ultimate and extended vehicle protection like I did. Call 800-CAR-6100. Mention code Benson or visit CarShield.com. Use code Benson. Saves you 10% right there. CarShield.com. Check them out. They got all kinds of plans. When you do sign up, use code Benson. Save you 10%. Call them on the phone, 800-CAR-6100. Mention code Benson. A deductible may apply. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. Check out thechadshow.com. Grab yourself your podcast right there, which is a cool thing. And, of course, you can like us on this little thing called Facebook, right? Just go there and like us on Facebook and follow along with us. We've got videos and stuff we post on a daily basis. Let's talk about global food supplies and what we could be doing about them in the future. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
I like interesting things. You guys listen to the show. You know that I like interesting things, and I'm always thinking about the future. And now we've got something neat. We got groundbreaking tech innovations that are going to transform food supply globally in the next 5 years as we continue to grow. We're going to be, 8 billion people or so. Joining us now, Melissa King, world-renowned chef to the stars, Top Chef finalist, co-founder of CoLab, an experimental pop-up series, and Jeff Lee Welser, vice president and lab director at IBM Research. Thank you guys so much for joining us. First things first, it's 5 in 5, and what exactly is that?
Right. So every year at IBM Research, we try and come up with 5 technologies that we think have the potential to impact the world in the next 5 years. So 5 in 5. We've been doing this since about 2006. And this year, we tried to do something a little bit different. We tried to see what we could do with artificial intelligence, IoT sensors, cloud, blockchain technologies, all aimed at something that's, I think, really important to all of us and something we all really enjoy, which is food.
I like food. And that's where you come in, Chef. Let's talk about food because he's familiar with AI and the technology world, but Melissa King, you're a world-renowned chef, so you're like into chef stuff like food.
I'm learning. Jeff is teaching me a lot about it, but I think it's quite fascinating what IBM's up to. As a chef, I also have a science background, and cooking is science. It kind of goes together. And IBM right now is doing a lot of research to figure out how we can feed the world in a much safer and sustainable way.
You talk about a safer and sustainable way, and the reality is, though, if you go back and look at global poverty, food, and everything else, we've improved so much compared to the 70s and 80s, but there's still a way that we can go. Talk about some of the stuff where we can use technology to actually change the way we do food, but not in a way that freaks people out because everybody worries about all of these other things and the chemicals and that. How do we make it so it feels and it is safer and good for the environment and good to feed people?
Right, you're exactly right. So we looked at this very sort of globally from the seed all the way to the shelf. So really starting at the farmer's field, there's so much data you can get now from IoT sensors, from satellite imagery, from advanced weather data. We're finding ways you can actually take all that, and a farmer could build almost a digital twin of their farm and really manage it in a way that gets the max amount of food out of every acre. And that's really important as the population continues to expand. Equally important, once that food is produced, it needs to get shipped out in a very complex food chain, and a lot of loss can happen along the way there. A lot of spoilage can happen. Blockchain technology could really help us in tracking that food, minimize that spoilage and waste, as well as making it safer. The packaging that goes along with food, a lot of that is plastic. I think we're all pretty good these days about trying to recycle our plastic, but the reality is that you can only recycle plastic a couple times before you have to dispose of it. We have some new technology where we think you can take that plastic right back down to its base chemical components, where you could really recycle it over and over and over again.
Talking to Melissa King, world-renowned chef to the stars, and Jeffrey Welser, VP at IBM, as we talk about the 5 in 5, and as we talk about global food supply and how we're going to make it better and how we use technology to make it better. Here's one thing. It all sounds great. Technology, food, the whole 9 yards. But, Melissa, the reality is we also like taste when it comes to food. And for the average person, because they'll hear something like this and they'll think, okay, global food supply chains. They're thinking of poorer nations, poorer countries who are getting an opportunity to have more food than ever before. But for us, for the westernized worlds, if you will, what's in it for us? Is this stuff that we can use at home?
Yeah, certainly. This will really change even our lifestyle as far as how we recycle. You don't have to separate your plastics anymore. You can just throw the colored plastics and the clear plastics all in the same bin. Even as far as the cutting boards at home may be embedded with AI sensors where it would detect pathogens early on and within your own home. So you basically being able to put a safer meal on the table for your family. So overall, I think all of this technology, it really makes the food system much more efficient from beginning to end and provides a safer meal, a healthier meal, probably even a tastier meal at the end of the day.
Well, we're all good because in the end, it's like a lot of things. It's about taste. Let's be real. We like it. Melissa King, world-renowned chef to the stars. Jeffrey Welser, vice president at IBM. If anybody wants to find out about this, where they're going, how do they check this stuff out online so they can take a look at what you guys are doing at IBM and the 5 in 5 and all of this stuff?
So if they go to our website, research.ibm.com, they can click on the 5 in 5 link right there. It'll take them to some articles they can read about all the technologies I was just talking about, but also takes them to some really fun videos that Melissa's in where you actually see her using the technology in action.
That sounds great. Thank you guys so very much, and we look forward to eating your new AI-inspired, tasty food in the future. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. This is one of those things where you can look and you say, IBM computer world. They're trying to do things better, and so often not we hear about horrible, greed that is in the world of big corporations and stuff, but they're trying to do something and make a difference in the world, and I think that's good. Absolutely. Nothing wrong with that, kids. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.